Peach, host of the Peach Buzz, and I'm so glad you came to join us again this week. I've been excited. We've had some amazing talks on here over the last several months, some of the best that I've been able to see on this channel. Just some incredible people that are sharing their heart and their ministry, and I am very excited today. You know, I love new books when they come out. I'm definitely a reader. I'm excited now to get to read books that are not for my schoolwork. That always helps.
Yeah.
And I'm excited today to get to introduce you guys to not just a brand new book, but this author has many years of experience working in kids ministry. So when he's talking, it's not theoretical. He's actually done this. He saw his church grow from 12,000 to 28,000. I'm seeing here that you had a volunteer team of 2,600.
We did. We, as the church grew, obviously the volunteer base had to grow as well.
Yes, yes.
So we were multi-site, so that was spread out across 9 campuses, but we had to have that many people.
Oh, I bet. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Well, can you kind of I can only barely introduce you. Can you give them a little bit about your heart and your ministry and your background, what you're doing now?
Sure. Well, been in kids ministry for 33 years. I had, for the first time last week, I was at a store buying something, and the lady said, do you get the senior citizen discount? And I was like, what?
Oh, no.
She said at our store, 55 and older gets the discount. So I was like, yeah, I'm 55, but it was 20% off. So it was okay.
Okay. I might be okay with that then. I'm 44, but I'd take the discount.
Yeah, usually it's 65 for some reason, 55. Anyways, besides all that, I'm just saying I'm old, even if I don't look like it, I'm old. But anyways, so thanks. So 28 of those years I was serving as a children's pastor in local churches across the country, California, Las Vegas, South Florida, West Palm Beach area, and had a lot of great years. Loved, working in the local church with volunteers and families. I had traveled some and spoke when I was a children's pastor, but obviously you can only be gone so many weekends.
Yes.
So just got to the point where God said, go ahead and step out in faith and let's go and share this with the Big C Church and try to encourage and help. So our theme is to build strong leaders, teams, and ministries. So we come alongside churches, do conferences, but kind of our niche is coming alongside churches and doing consulting and coaching and trying to speaking at their church about the importance of reaching the next generation. So keeps me busy and doing that and writing and so forth. But so that's what we're doing now, and just have a heart for the next generation that's coming behind us.
That's so awesome. And as I was looking your speaking schedule, you really do a lot of speaking and training. So I was looking, the website I knew of was relevantchildrensministries.com, and you've done incredible work with being on the cutting edge there when you say Relevant Kids Ministry. By the way, I subscribed and I get his emails of his articles and blog posts. I got one today, which you should subscribe as well. I'm going to put that website right down here, relevantchildrensministry.com. But I also see buildingchildrensministry.com.
Yeah, the Relevant Kids Ministry has been around for a long time. I still keep that and post there every day, but the Building Children's Ministry is when I started traveling and helping other churches. All my resources are on buildingchildrensministry.com, and my blog is there as well. So I keep both sites going. The building is more for resources and things you can get to help, build your children's ministry.
Wonderful. So make sure you guys click on that, sign up for those blog posts. Fantastic. If you're looking for coaching, someone to come in and speak, that would be fantastic if you can get in with his busy schedule. Today, what I wanted to talk to you about was your brand new book that just came out, and I'm going to put a link to that down below as well. My favorite part about this current book is how positive it comes off to me, and this is my reason for that. I know how bad some of the statistics are. I do, and I don't know that all kids leaders know that. But when you say fertile soil and you're talking about building that faith, I was amazed at how positive that was. That oh my goodness, these kids are fertile soil.
Yeah.
And we can do these things to build faith in our kids, and we need to do this, the urgency of it. So what inspired you to write this book? What was, I know prayer definitely, but I know God laid this on your heart. What kinds of things inspired you to want to write this?
Yeah. Well, just like you were talking about, we all, the statistics vary from report to report. I don't know the exact percentage. I don't know if anybody knows the exact percentage, but we do know there are a lot of kids who
Yes.
grow up in church, and then they walk away from the church. And a lot of times even their faith, they walk away from that. So I was seeking answers for why that happened. And a report came out, a secular report, and shared that the three biggest reasons why kids leave the church. And I don't want to give away too much of the book, but but because of disillusionment with the church, just the politics that within churches, the hypocrisy, those things. That was about 25% of the people that walked away said this is why we walked away. The second one was, and the biggest one was, we just don't believe anymore. But like 50% said we just don't believe anymore. And then the third one was, we're just too busy, which they probably learned from their parents who didn't prioritize church for them. And so as I was looking at that, I was reading the scripture, the parable of the 4 types of soil, and it was amazing that they lined up with these 3 excuses that people had given. Like the we don't believe anymore. That shallow soil. It talks about shallow soil, that when the heat came, it wilted because it didn't have deep roots. That lined up. One talked about how the thorns, the other seed, the thorns came and choked out the seed. Well, busyness came and choked out the seed. Playing sports on Sunday instead of being in church choked out the seed. So that was the other. And then the third one was disillusionment with the church. It talks about the birds came, an outside entity came and took the seed away. And so that was people in the church that are not living what they're not practicing what they're preaching, causes kids to walk away. So those were the 3 big areas. But here's the cool thing: the 4th soil is the fertile soil. Yes. And the seed that was planted there grew and flourished. When brought much fruit to pass. So I began to think, what makes soil fertile soil? What do we have to put into the soil to make it fertile soil? And so I have in the book listed many, probably 20 or 30 different things that you need to put into the soil, and believe that if you get those things in the soil, there's a really good chance that they're going to turn out to follow and love Jesus. And I will say this, I think every kid has to make a choice at the very, there's a promise in the Bible that talks about train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he'll not depart from it. I always took that as a promise, but as I studied it more and talked to other people, came to the conclusion that's not really a promise, it's a principle. Yes. Because God's not going to violate someone's free will. Correct. Yes. Right? Each kid has to make a decision. But man, if you get the soil fertile, there's a really, really high percentage that they're going to grow up and follow Jesus and serve him for a lifetime. And so the book's full of ideas that you can put in as a parent, a grandparent. This book's for parents, for grandparents, and of course, obviously, children's ministry leaders. But if you can get those things in the soil, there's a good chance they'll turn to love Jesus. Like one of my biggest passion out of the 3 is the we don't believe anymore. That shallow soil. And I just am amazed at how shallow the faith is of our kids. Because, you get your average family coming once, maybe twice a month. Parents probably are not doing, spiritual stuff at home very much. And so they're only getting like 25% of the lesson. How are they going to have a foundation that lives in that? And with my curriculum I produce, I really started focusing on apologetics. Now, you can teach apologetics in a fun way, right? Just because you say apologetics doesn't mean you line up and hum the doctrines of the faith. But I really think we need to teach apologetics. We need to teach doctrine. Yes. And again, in a fun way, make it kid friendly. But those things are so important, because if we don't, then they're going to get up to college and the pressure is going to come and they'll have no answers. They'll have no answers and they'll wilt. So that was my burden. That is my burden for this book, that it'll help us know what to put into the soil to see kids' faith flourish for a lifetime.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that breaks my heart. Anyone that's been in kids ministry for a while, it's been about 22 years for me, and some that I saw that had seemingly such strong faith, and then went to college and, kind of I just don't believe anymore. That has been so hard. Something that struck me is there isn't anything more important for a kids ministry leader or a parent than the whole point is that they follow Jesus. The whole point is that they love Jesus for life. Yeah. That's the end goal. So I would then think that children's pastors would want to recommend this book to their parents, offer that as a resource for the parents. And I don't know the exacts either, but the last I heard was 3 out of 4 of the kids in our ministry don't continue on in their faith after age 18. Mm-hmm. I also think you touched on exactly what it is, where the parents, I think it's right about age 12, 13, the huge drop off, but the parents no longer make going to church a priority, and that child run household, they let them stay home and they don't have to go to church anymore. And sports on Sunday, sports Wednesday night. I'm in Wisconsin, so it's hockey, a lot of hockey and football, soccer, every single night of the week. So I totally get that. And then for a parent, I don't think they understand that, every parent in Wisconsin wants their kid to play for the Packers. That's it. But the chances of them playing professional hockey or football are like 0.00.
You're right.
1%.
You're right.
So the major priority should be their spiritual walk. I completely understand that. Now, again, we don't want to give away too much of the book because we want people to go get this book. But I've seen in the book that there are practical steps for helping cultivate fertile soil, and actual practical steps that they can take, which is what I like. It's not, there's actual things that they can do to cultivate that fertile soil and to help those kids grow. I put the illustration in last Sunday. I was talking to the adults, but I said, when you give an altar call for adults, half the time our pastor's like, seriously, come on now, anybody, come on. I know somebody here needs prayer for this. And you open up an altar call for kids and it's like, phew, they're all up at the front. Fertile soil, absolutely. So do you think you could maybe give us one?
Yeah, I can give a few. I mean,
tip, and then they have to go, only the first one's free, and then the rest they need to go in and
I can give. I mean, there's about 30 in the back. I put all of them on one. I'll put all of them on one page at the back of the book. But,
that's fantastic.
One thing is, if a kid is in a church that is a passionate church that's going after God and is reaching people for Christ, there's a better chance that the child's going to grow up be passionate about those things. But when you got some kids are in dead churches, nobody ever comes to Christ. There's no passion, and they grow up and think, why should I give my life to this? They're not very excited about it. So that's one. Apologetics is a big one. We've got to start teaching apologetics. I created a series called Pranksters, and we made it fun. We had videos of fun pranks they were doing on people, but then the main point was that there are going to be people that try to prank you and say the Bible is not God's word, and here's why you got to be ready. And I actually went to some atheist websites. And pulled off verses they said contradict each other, and actually brought those to the kids, especially the older kids, those to the kids and said, okay, let's look at this. They're saying this is contradictory, and showing them that it's not, and showing them the answer. Because we want to get the answers from us, right? From the right place. It's so important. And not just wait for them to come to us, but go to them and say, here's some hard questions that we need to work through. especially in the preteen years. Here's some hard questions that you work through. You know, Brad Pitt is obviously a well-known actor. You know, he grew up in Missouri in a conservative family. His parents took him to church every week, so he grew up in church. But in his own testimony, he says, when I got to about 13, I started having questions about the faith, and he said nobody would give me any answers. And so obviously now he's not walking with the Lord. I pray that one day he will be drawn back. But anyways, that's one. Serving is another huge one. We know that if kids get involved in serving, especially as they get high school, junior high, that there's a great chance that they'll continue to serve.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Fully engaged parents is a big one as well. You know, if the family gets up on Sunday morning and says, well, let's see, there's no sports games today and the lake is a little too chilly to go to the lake. Okay, we'll go to church today. What does that say to the child, you know? And so fully engaged parents, we've got to get these things to the parents and let them also know what they're the main fertile soil producers, right?
Yes.
If they don't put their part in, there's a slim chance that their cow's going to grow up to love Jesus. But that's a few of it. There's about 30 things that we believe you should put in the soil.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is so vital. Now, where I live up in Wisconsin, just about everyone would tell you they're Catholic or Lutheran. So they were baptized as an infant. They went through catechism and that was it. A lot of them, maybe they'll go back on Christmas, you know, or maybe Easter. But it was interesting. I worked with a Catholic supervisor for quite some time, and he would ask me, he would literally ask me, so my sister has cancer, do I believe in praying for her? And I'd say, well, yeah. And he would say, yeah, I'm Catholic, so I'm not sure what I believe. So what do they, and he's asking me what, he's like, whatever I don't know. And I thought about our own kids in our own church. Do they know what they believe and why, and can they defend their faith?
Yeah.
And I think we wait way too long because like you said, this is happening preteen, junior high, 4th and 5th grade, where they're being challenged on their faith by what they're watching, listening to in school, everything. They're being challenged on their faith. Yeah. We're not giving them the tools to explain their faith.
They're so right. There's a battle going on now in preschoolers. I mean, some of the stuff you follow in the news, some of the stuff that they're trying to even get down into the preschoolers.
Yep.
It's, man, if you're a preschool worker, you're crucial. You're ministering one of the most important times down there. But yeah, there's definitely a battle going on for the next generation, and we want to make sure that we get there first. I'm sure you've heard George Barna's quote, in the race to a child's heart, the first one there wins. Oh. So we want to get there first, even down in nursery and preschool. There's things that we can do to create fertile soil.
That is awesome. I hope you guys heard that. He was quoting George Barna in the race to a child's heart. Whoever gets there first wins. We have to get there first.
Amen.
And the importance of your pre-K ministry, so crucial. And I've heard both sides of it. Parents are absolutely crucial. They have the most time with the child. On the other hand, I've heard churches say, well, it's the parents' job, so we don't have any chance with the kids whose parents are not involved. And I figure neither side is off the hook. So if the church is not reaching your children, that doesn't leave the parent off the hook. And if the parent is completely not reaching their child, that doesn't leave our kids ministry off the hook, because it's supposed to be a partnership. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of, you're just talking about the sports thing, which is huge. I mean, I love sports. I played sports growing up, but not on Sunday. You know, 40, 50 years ago, we didn't play on Sunday. We reserved that for the little bit, but that's all changing. You have traveling teams that will be gone like 5 or 6 weeks from church. And I'm thinking, man, what there's that thorn. There's that thorny soil. It's taking over and crushing out the seed. But I think one of the most fruitful things we can do is parent-child dedication is a key time where people with babies and young preschoolers, you've got their attention. And so have a class that they go through. The class I created, we talked about probably 15 minutes about the dedication, what it meant In the next 30 minutes, we talked about here's how to raise your kids to love Jesus and hit those issues. I think you can catch them when their kids are young. You'll be able to, we saw a lot of fruit from that in the young couples because we got it to them when they were first starting out, opposed to their kids already in sports and is, on this team and committed and so forth. So I think, starting young with young families makes a big difference.
I love that, starting with the child dedication, because from what I read, okay, you've got the 75% or more that leave church. A very small percentage of those come back, and the number one reason cited was they just had a child. And they're saying, oh, I want my child to have a good moral upbringing. So they come back and are looking to the pastor, the kids pastor, saying, okay, what do I do now to be a good parent? That's a perfect time then at that child dedication to say, here's the commitment that is involved with your child. This is expectations. I think we expect parents to know this stuff. They absolutely do not.
Yeah, we live in a biblically illiterate society, even in the church, pretty much. I think a positive thing, and at the last part of the book talks about the fertile soil. And I always kind of got not discouraged, but kind of looking at it. Well, three out of four went bad. He planted the seed. Only one out of four made it. So 3 negative, 1, made it. But I was at a conference talking about this, and the little old lady came up to me after the conference, and she said, "Have you ever thought about?" Because it goes on and it says the fertile soil seed produces fruit 30, 60, and 100 times. She said, "Well, think a minute now. You've been saying that it's just 3 people didn't make it, 3 groups didn't make it. What's higher, 3 or 30? What's a higher number? Those 3 didn't make it, or the 60?" And so the encouraging thing is, at the end of the day, God's going to bless your ministry, and your labor is not in vain. And down the road, long term, you're going to see fruit that even exceeds what you thought was negative, turnouts. And then I think the 100 you won't see when you get to heaven. That's when people you're going to see the full scope of how God used you, and it's going to be hundreds and maybe thousands of seeds that God used you to help kids know Jesus and follow Him. So that's an encouraging word, to know that in the end, your labor is not in vain. You're going to see a lot of fruit. Some now, some years from now, and some you won't see when you get to heaven. But the fruit will come.
That's incredible. I think some people listening needed to hear that. Some of you need to rewind this and listen to that again. My kids are always like, "What is rewind?" Yeah, I'm showing my age. Back it up.
Be kind, rewind, Blockbuster, right?
Be kind, rewind. Yes, I had the cassette tapes, with the pencil. So I think that's fantastic. Faithfulness is so important. Doing the best you can, and you're not going to see a lot of that fruit till you get to heaven someday.
Yeah,
that's incredibly exciting, and I love that positive note, because you're right. We tend to focus on there's the 75%, but on the same token, you still planted seeds in their heart as well. And I've seen some of them turn around and come back when life really hits hard.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, our job is to plant. And then Paul talked about that I plant, someone else waters. It's God that gives the increase. We're just called. It's not our job to produce fruit. We can't. That job's already taken, right?
Yes.
Our role is to simply put the ingredients in the soil.
Yes.
That's our part, and God will bring the increase.
Absolutely. That's kind of an offhanded illustration, but last fall I had a decorative pumpkin on my front porch. And when it got bad, it got all rotty and everything. I threw it over into my garden to fertilize the garden. Didn't think anything of it. Yeah. And I planted my garden this summer, and I was out there, or spring, and I was weeding, and I went, what are all that? So let's just say a fourth of those pumpkin seeds sprouted, and I now have like 40 pumpkins that I didn't plan on.
Yeah.
I don't even have room for 40 pumpkins. But see, God gives the increase. You don't know what's going to happen when you just are faithful. Amen. That's so awesome. Oh, that's fantastic.
I'm sure you've heard that old quote, pray for a good harvest with the sweat running down the hoe handle.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness.
Work, the quote, work like everything depends on you, but then pray like everything depends upon God, because it does.
Oh my goodness. That's so good. I'm going to be saying that to myself this week. Pray while your sweat runs down the hoe handle. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody that watched today. Remember to like and subscribe and share with someone you think could use it. Again, I'm putting the links down below for how you can get this book right now. Go click on this link for yourself, for the parents in your ministry.
It's
also,
on Amazon.
Oh, go ahead.
It's on Amazon as well. If they like Amazon, it's there as well.
Yeah, I get a lot of my stuff on Amazon for sure,
Yeah.
and Kindle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put that link down below again for buildingchildrensministry.com. Make sure you subscribe so that you get some of this encouragement all the time. And I hope you'll see us again next week on the Peach Fuzz. Have a wonderful week. God bless you for what you do for Jesus and his kids. Thank you again to Dale
Bye-bye.
Hudson. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.